brain is arguably the most important organ in human body. It has a lot of functions like control and coordination of actions and reactions of the body. It allows us to think, feel, and enables us to have memories and feelings as well. But do we know that the brain is divided into three basic units? Now that you've known, they include the following. The first part is the forebrain. The forebrain is also called the prosencephalon. The second part is the midbrain, which is also called the mesencephalon. And the third part is called the hindbrain, which is also called the rhomboencephalon. The rhomboencephalon is further divided into two parts, which includes the metencephalon and the myelencephalon. The metencephalon comprises of the pons and the cerebellum, while the myelencephalon is the medulla oblongata. Our center of focus in this video is going to be on the brainstem. So anytime you hear the word brainstem, just know that the part of the brain that is being discussed or the part of the brain that is being talked about is simply the distal part of the brain, which is made up of the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. The word distal simply means lower or down part of any structure of the body. So the distal part of the brain is just talking about the lower part of the brain. Let's not forget that the part of the brain that makes up the brainstem include the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. Each of these parts, that is the midbrain, the pons, and medulla oblongata, has its own unique structures and functions, which we will look at as we progress. From what we've said so far, we can affirm that the two parts of the hindbrain, which are the pons and medulla oblongata, joins the midbrain to make up the brainstem. Apart from the brainstem being the distal part of the brain, we can also say that it is the part of the brain that lies above the spinal cord, and it connects the spinal cord to the cerebrum. So let's see how much we've been following. A quick question: what are the parts of the brain that makes up the brainstem? Drop your answers on the comment section, alright? You might be wondering, what part of the skull can we locate the brainstem? Well, let's take a look at the skull. In the osteology of the skull, we were meant to understand that the skull is divided into three fossa. We have the anterior cranial fossa, the middle cranial fossa, and the posterior cranial fossa. It is in the posterior cranial fossa that the brainstem is located. It is commonly called the back part of the skull. The upper part of the brainstem is continued with the cerebral hemisphere, that is the cerebrum. Obviously, from the location of the brainstem, we can see that the inferior end of the brainstem is continuous with the spinal cord. Don't allow all these anatomical terms to confuse you. Inferior simply means the lower part of any structure. Let's have a look at the different cranial nerves that comes out from the surface of the brainstem. On the midbrain, two cranial nerves arises from this point. They are the cranial nerve 3 and the cranial nerve 4. The cranial nerve 3 is the oculomotor nerve, while the cranial nerve 4 is the trochlear nerve. Meanwhile, there's a short video on the 12 cranial nerves. You can check it out on our playlist in the YouTube channel Joen Academy. On the pons, we have the 5th cranial nerve, the 6th cranial nerve, the 7th cranial nerve, and 8th cranial nerve arising from this point. These cranial nerves are the trigeminal nerve, the abducent nerve, the facial nerve, and the vestibulocochlear nerve. Finally, on the medulla oblongata, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th cranial nerve arises from here. So the glossopharyngeal nerve is the 9th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve, the accessory nerve is the 11th, while the hypoglossal nerve is the 12th cranial nerve. In the next video on neuroanatomy, we'll be taking a good look at the pons properly. Don't forget to support Joen Academy in the little way possible for more interesting videos like this. Click on the subscription button to subscribe. Share this video with your friends and the people around you. See you next time in the next video. Until then, remain blessed. God got you. And don't forget that